Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gabrielle, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Money with Friends. Every Wednesday, we have an opportunity and a privilege to come to you to talk about money, life, and everything else. And tonight, it's going to be a great night because we have someone who's going to really very impressive. And I really been looking to interview him for a long time. And I'm so glad I'm having the opportunity to do that tonight. You know, my favorite quote from John Maxwell is, I want to make a difference with people who want to make a difference, doing something that make a difference. This quote is important to me because I know I'm called to make a difference, and you too are called to make a difference. And guess what? My guest tonight, Donald Alexis, he's on a mission to make a difference. Donald is the president and founder of Caribbean Integration Community Development. He's a housing developer, affordable housing developer, and social equity advocate. He's impacting communities and changing lives, one development at a time. Tonight, you're gonna hear more. You know, the housing industry has become a commodity. Working class families, especially Black and brown families, have finding themselves being rent burdened and are getting displaced from communities that they grew up in. Donald has already developed a couple properties that are keeping families in the community, especially in this Black and brown community of Boston called Mattapan. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Donald Alexis on the show. He's gonna say hello, introduce himself briefly, and then we're gonna dive in into this amazing conversation on community impact. Affordable housing matters. Good evening, Donald.
Hey, Gabriel, thank you for finally having me. Why it take you so long? Thank you for the opportunity to be with you tonight. And also, I want to say hello to Let's Talk Money with Friends audience. And I'm
Yeah.
honored to be part of this show. I know Gabrielle is doing fantastic work. She's a fighter for the community, and we need folks like her in our community because ultimately um, not everything given to us. Sometimes we have to fight for it. We need to be able to strategize and think about our game plan on how to win more as a community. And the title of the show says it best. Let's talk money with friends because we need
Yeah.
to have a game plan. So thank you, Gabriel, for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show. I know you are a very busy man. You're doing great work, and I'm so proud of that. I just want to say that, we have this show because again we want to highlight many of the different players in the community, the different folks in the community who are doing great things. And you, my gosh, housing had over the years. I'm very much interested in seeing families in affordable and habitable homes. And you are one of those people who are making it happen. So why don't we talk a little bit about your background, Donald?
Mhm.
I know I was reading online and I heard that I found out that you're from Okap. I've been to Okap, Cape Haitian, twice.
Well,
Beautiful place. Yeah, tell me about your background, how did you get started? Your background, where you came from, of course, Okap. And also, yeah, how did you get into this field of property development or housing development?
Well, if there's any Cape listening or any Haitian that been to Wokap, kinamyo, sakpase kinamyo. So, uh, I know, without accent, people always make fun of us, man, because we speak with, slightly different accent with the rest of the country. But yeah, very proud to be Haitian, I mean, so especially in this time, I think you know, we all that bleed um, red, blue, and white. So we all have heavy heart for our country, but we're very proud, man. So and um, and I think the two of us sitting here, if this even talking, is a testament to how proud we are wherever we go. We represent our country with
Yeah.
you know uh, proudly. But to go back on your question, grew up in Cape Haitian, so born raised in, and I left Haiti when I was 18. Came to the United States, because at that time my parents wanted me to start, getting ready for college, and I came here. So my family been in Boston since the 60s. Most of them been in Waltham since the 90s, which is a west part of Boston, a suburb of Boston that used to be heavily Haitian at some point in the 90s, uh, almost like almost like what Randolph is today. So Waltham used to be that place in the 90s for the Haitian community. So came here, and my dream was to be a medical doctor, you know,
Mm,
uh, like any other Haitian. So you have very few professional career you can choose from. Being a doctor was one of them for me, and started. So went to high school for 1 year, finished my high school, and then went to a community college called Mass Bay Community College.
correct.
For me to start taking life science. And when I went there, I'm like, oh boy, this thing, it's hard, especially for me. I was just new in a new language, trying to figure it out. I was like, man, I don't have time to waste. So then, halfway through my first semester, I decided to switch over to computer science, which my mom wasn't too proud of me because, she didn't know what computer science was at that time. You're like, computer science, I mean, so you petit mais c'est docteur Mvloye, you know.
I know. I
Um,
know.
yeah, and from there, left Mars Bay, went to UMass Dartmouth, where I finished my undergrad. And in my junior year, this is when I start making connection into the community development field, and in our community until today, Gabriel, I feel like a lot of people don't even know what community development is because when you say you're doing real estate, people think you're either either you're a broker or you are uh, uh, uh,
An
a
agent.
contractor.
Yeah.
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 um, the whole notion you can be working with investors, working with city, do like what we call PPP, which is public-private partnership.
Mhm.
Community is something foreign, uh, uh, which is unfortunate because as you alluded, housing it's a human right. It's number one thing for like for good health. And today our community facing Boston's already the fourth most expensive rental market in the nation. And if you working class family, the odds against you to find a good living situation, it's even harder.
Yeah.
So go back on how I started. So in my junior year, I met a gentleman called Marvin Gilmore. He started the whole CDC movement in Boston, him and Melkin and Ted Zinsmack back in the 60s. So so I met Marvin to my girlfriend at that time, which is my wife today.
Mhm.
So he asked me to come work for him the summertime. At that time I just need a job. I just go there. No idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
But when I was there, I get interested into the community development. At that time he was running Boston CDC, which is one the first CDC in the nation.
Yeah.
It's almost like pull me under his wing, help me, watching the way he move, the way he do things. I'm like, maybe I could be him one day. So and fast forward to today, I guess I'm starting out on, on his path. So
Yeah, definitely. I love the fact that, you saying like your mom wanted you to be a doctor. So many of us, of course, we started thinking that we're gonna be one thing. And there's always a purpose, a plan that's very predetermined. I do believe that. That's why this quote by Maxwell is very important to me. It's something that I really think about all the time, the idea of making a difference. And, of course, your mom wanted you to make a difference by becoming a doctor to help heal people. But you just said it, housing is the social determinants of health. We know right now when you go to the hospital in Boston, like different hospitals, especially children hospital, they're asking one of the questions they're asking you is, how is your housing situation? Because they know so many are coming sick, are not able to stay healthy because of their housing condition and
Mhm.
situation that they deal with at work. So I really love that. So yes, Thelma, you are doing what she wanted you to do, taking care of people and keeping them healthy. Now, the first time I saw you and your mom
Mhm.
was at Cody Ford, the very first building that you build and developed. And it's not that far away from me here. And I went to that cutting ceremony that you had. Actually, no, it was the
Breaking. Mhm.
groundbreaking ceremony that you had. And I saw your mom. She was so proud of you because she was beaming with smile. Because at the time, she's thinking, well, he didn't become a doctor, but he's doing great things, right? And I was like looking at her, I'm like, how proud must she be? Now,
Mhm.
this is Women's History Month, and I'm
Mhm.
wearing my colors, the purple, the green, and the beige, because this is the last week and I wanted to represent that way. Can you
Mhm.
tell us about, on the side note, can you tell us about like the women who have impacted your life? You just talked about your mom and your wife, but yeah, other women who've impacted you as we celebrated the very last week of Women's History Month.
Yeah, so I think for my mommy, it's easy because I'm the only child, you know what I mean? So, hey,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. And my grandma and my great grandmother, you know what I mean? So uh, I was fortunate to raise in an intergenerational house. My great grandmother died when I
oh,
was 14. Um, she
sorry.
was 100 years old, you know, and she was my lady, man. So that, um, but, you know, I have to go back to like my first grade, second grade. Those uh, those teachers that helped me during my formative years, you know. So when you early on, they kind of like, you know, in the classroom, they create a home away from home for you, kind of like the way they help you grow, figure yourself out, and become, you know, you. You know, I have to think about those first couple teachers. In my case, you know, they all were women, you know, and obviously, you know, my grandma, my mom, my great grandma, you know, but also in my professional career, I have to say we happen CICD, you
Mhm.
know, in 11 years, we happen most of our workforce happen to be women. It's not by design, but he end up happen to be that way. So I think like
Wow.
we probably like 80, 90% of our workforce end up being women, from consultant to actually full-time staff. You know, so I think like few years ago, like Jack Ma said something, so I think probably applicable here. Um, it is a Chinese billionaire, is the one that start, you know, Alibaba. It's
Mhm.
a woman, you know, when you give them an opportunity, because they carry so much, you know, family and everything like that, they come there, they make the best of that opportunity. So that's why he always love hiring women. So I think, you
Yeah.
know, it, 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 even though I think in our society there's so many issues like childcare, you know, you know, pay 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 equality, but I think you know, we as this we as a society we can do better or should do better because it, you know, women are backbone of every family and the society. You know what I mean? So you know, they give birth, you know, they give life
Yeah.
to our society, and so.
Yeah, we are very important, I guess.
Yeah.
We are very important. That's why it's so important to me when I meet men and women who really appreciate and respect one another. So yeah, again, going back to Cody Ford, I have a couple pictures that I want to share. Now,
Mhm,
Cody Ford, again, first building, and I was
mhm,
reading online, doing my research, like you had to fight because this was your first project
mhm.
and you didn't have a history. So can you tell us as to why? The fight is not easy. We're just talking about the fact that I'm doing a show like this, and sometimes, the process is very slow. But if you believe, you're gonna get to your destination. Um, Yeah, tell me a little bit about Cody Ford, and I'm gonna share a picture of the building itself and how, yeah, you
Mhm.
you were able
So,
to do something so great. Yeah, this is it here, Cody Ford. Welcome to Cody. Actually, it used to be Cody Ford. I kept calling it Cody Ford. It's Cody Village. The reason I
Cody
call it
Village
Cody
now.
Ford, you let us know why I'm calling it Cody Ford. Yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, the name, he's been having the name Cody. Cody is
yeah,
the former owner when he was a Ford dealership,
correct.
many decades ago. And so we want to keep something that represent the area, the community. So we kept the name. And
Correct.
village, if you're Haitian, village mean,
Yeah,
big happy family. So that's why we keep. That's why we make a marriage between Cody Village.
yeah,
Also, I have to say this project was the best family development in the nation.
yeah,
Um, 2 years ago, 2023, 2022. So the affordable housing finance community chose this project as the best family development in the nation.
yeah,
Um, yeah. So why? Because a little bit of history. This site used to be an environmental hazard to the community, and it's been vacant since 1963,
yeah,
and it's been an hazard. We had to clean it up. Uh, cost significant money cost significant money to do that. So to clean it up and to turn it to 100% affordable. So that was one of the reasons that he was ended up choosing as the best family project in the nation.
yeah,
But in terms of talking again, when I started Caribbean Integration Community Development, it was because Marvin was telling me, he's like, hey, listen, go in your community and start doing development.
right,
You could imagine in my mind, uh, uh, um, they have two two dime to work together, and I'm gonna be thinking about doing multi-million dollar project. So he was like, man, I'm just happy to come to your office to make my paycheck, man. So let me keep coming. But at some point he told me, no, go ahead and. Um, but the message he was trying to relate to me in 2010, 2011, Marapen CDC was going to some financial trouble. They filed for bankruptcy.
mm,
That was his message. Well, there's nobody there now. It's the best time to step in.
yeah.
You
Can I
know.
just mention, like, Mattapan? I love the fact that the picture, let me just show it again, because typically when you see, development or new housing,
Mhm.
the actors or the pictures of individuals showing as prospective renters or buyers, they're usually different people of different color. But you have mostly black and brown. I see a brown person here, black and brown community. So Mattapan, for those who are not familiar with Boston, it is a black and brown community, meaning like you call your nonprofit Caribbean, right?
Mhm.
Because Mattapan has the largest Caribbean community in Massachusetts, right?
Mhm.
I would say, especially Caribbean families from the islands of Haiti, Jamaica, Trinidad, and who else have I seen? Cape Verde is in Africa, but yeah,
Dominica. So,
the-
just to give you some facts, Marapen has the largest black homeownership in the Commonwealth.
correct.
You know, and since the 80s, since the white flight in the 80s, when they moved from from inner Boston to the suburbs, Marapen inhabitants been from a mix of Caribbean. This is like this is the last place that you could say it's really a black neighborhood of Boston.
Correct.
Which at the beginning when I started, I didn't understand that. But now my fight, my everything I'm trying to do is because I see as that important. You know what I mean? So I can go out right now from my office, walk down Blue Hill. It remind me that I'm home.
Yeah.
You know,
Cap-Haïtien, right?
Cap Haitien.
Caribbean. Yes, yes,
you
yes,
know, and
yeah.
and also if you have kids, you want your kids to familiarize with the culture,
Yeah.
understand different aspect of the culture. I think if you're black, I think Marapen still give you that vibe because you can go there, walk into a coffee shop, you find five people having different conversation, different languages,
Yeah.
that's not English. I think to me, Matapen represent everything, and one of the reasons also that make uh, came in, like I said, it came in 2000, moved to the suburbs with my family. But every time they bring me to Matapen, because that's why we used to shop, that's why we still have, product from our country. I feel like home. I'm like, oh my God, you know what I mean? So why don't I live here instead? you know? Uh, so yeah, to me, I think like, for us, we want to make sure that we create that identity, that culture, this is who we are. This is who we're building for. Obviously, everybody's welcome. You know what I mean? So it's not like we're doing something that's say just Caribbean only, but also we want to make sure that like people know that we're proud of our heritage. We're proud of what we accomplished together as a community.
Yeah, sustainability and also preserving the community, because I know the Cody Ford building that you constructed, the construction started when I first when I first went there for the groundbreaking in 2019. And by 2021, it was officially open, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And 52 apartments, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and three, right?
Yep.
Are available to families. And you were saying to me, like many of those families are single headed households,
Hmm.
single women headed households. So it's a great thing. And I know that, because Boston is so expensive, many of these families, because I work in the community, many of them are not able to keep up with the high rent. So the affordable part of it is the fact that you have an opportunity to get your home subsidized, right?
Hmm.
So these properties are subsidized homes for families, correct?
Yes, and by the way, they're more than 52, they're 76. So you forgot the townhomes. There's
Oh yeah, the
24
top.
townhomes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
in the back.
yeah, in
Yes,
the
the
back.
top.
Yes, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. This is
So
52 units right there. And then
yeah,
behind
so the
you have
apartment is
beautiful
52, the
townhomes.
townhomes
Yeah.
is 24. Yes. So yeah, for us, it's like, okay, if we're going to build something for the community, we have to look to see what are the needs in the community. The needs in the
Mhm.
community, it's working class folks, people that work at the airport, but people that work at a restaurant, people that work in a nursing home. The reality is, those folks make like 45, $50,000 a year. Like, what I mean? So they're not gonna be able to afford,
Yeah.
like a market with apartments. So obviously we had to fight, all along so we can get, because the more affordability, the more subsidy you need. But the fight was well worth it, because so you don't want your barista to live 2 hours away from you.
Right.
And and as we know in the state, so public transportation is not the best. Like, what I mean, so we have to create home for like, for our folks. That's why it, it, it's very important to have somebody that know the community, that understand the community needs, to be fighting for the community. Because now, hey, listen, you have to be you have to be able to build home for people that making $50,000 or less. So therefore, this is what you need for that community. So I think that was the result. It took longer than it's supposed to, but knowing also we have to be creative with our financing. We have to be asking way more dollar from city and state to make it happen. But glad we did it. So.
Yeah, because that was my next question. Like, I know, on Let's Talk Money with Friends, everything is about money, right? Money
Mhm,
encompasses everything. And the idea of like partnering with the city, partnering with
mhm.
other developers to make something like this happen. How difficult has that been for you? Because I know we're going to talk about the next project that you've been able to, yes, last year, December, another project
Mhm.
became available for the community. Yeah, how difficult has that been for you? And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna cue the next project so we can talk about that a little bit briefly.
Yeah, so we're talking about money. One thing I can say, going on that uh, theme. So don't think small. Always think big. That's something you're never gonna find from me. Try to do something small. What I mean? So there's a place for it, but I always think big. Our first project was 76 units. You know what I mean? So it doesn't get as big as that.
Mhm.
So, when you're doing something big, you can attract different pot of money. You can attract more investors to join force with you as soon as they can get some sort of return. So, to put that money together, we had to be very creative, and you know, and it require a lot of subsidy from the city,
Yeah,
and the state. But uh, um, because at that time the city haven't done anything in Mattapan. So Mattapan is one of the communities that haven't seen much development. Boston, it's overbuilt,
yeah,
but Mattapan is just starting to catch up now. But 6 years ago, Mattapan haven't seen any real development for over a decade. So it was easy to ask from the city and the state, um, for them to go along with it. So and also, um, for us, the community is our strength. You know what I mean? So, it's very easy. They can say no to just me, but when I bring, you know, a Woodhaven Civic Association with me, when I bring, you know, Manapan United, when you bring a group of people, it's
yeah.
hard to say no to 15 people. So, like, that's why our number is in so, like, our strength is our number. So always leverage that.
Yeah, definitely. Collective power is the new world power. You gotta do it together. That's why I believe in community, and that's why I believe in community organizing. So like December, I didn't get to go to that one, but I was like very excited because I know I work in the area of Mattapan, and I do know how important it is for families to have an opportunity to live in a community that they grew up in, to be able to afford it, and to have a habitable home. Because at the end of the day, we've been having, yes, I wanted to share this. This is Morton Village.
Mhm.
You in some of the partners that you work with.
My name is Ruthie Louisiane. I'm an at-large city councilor here in Boston, which means I represent the entire city. I'm out here today to show my full support for Morton Station Village. You know, Donald and the work that he's been doing has been really incredible to make sure that we are centering not only affordable housing, but also affordable rental opportunities and affordable homeownership opportunities and creating beautiful green space. Donald brought together so many different entities to make this possible. We know that housing is too expensive, and too often our families are being pushed out of the city. The number one call that we get in City Hall is about housing. So we need to, when projects like this are happening, we need to come out and show up. I'm excited for this groundbreaking and excited to see the housing go up so that folks can have an option to build wealth here in the city that they know, in the city where they grew up.
This event is a great milestone and a time to celebrate for the Mattapan community, but also a time to reflect with concern. Thousands of people with jobs, with children who go to public school here, with aspirations just like us, cannot afford to rent or buy in this community. Safe and affordable housing, it's a right and not a privilege. That is why today I'm delighted to be one step closer to providing working class families to what they may take for granted, a place of their own at the end of each day.
The Morton Station Village is really a manifestation of our conviction of the dignity of every human person. And we hope here to be able to provide future residents with safe, affordable homes in Mattapan. In doing so, we will truly be a stronger Boston.
It's not lost on any of us that our world is having some pretty dark days. And while many of the solutions that are needed are out of my reach and out of your reach, we can continue to work together to make Boston a better place. And maybe that is our resolve. Maybe that is our response to what is going on in the world. So we're going to make Boston affordable. We're going to house our families. We're going to build strong communities. And that's what we're going to continue to do.
Yes, thank you so much, Donald, for the work that you're doing. It's amazing. I want to stop this. Donald, I'm like the tech lady. I do it all. I'm sure the same thing is happening to you as the founder and the president of your organization, uh, Caribbean Integration Community Development, CICD. I'm sure the same thing. We have to do it all. But the fight that you're fighting, it's such a noble thing. You are indeed making a difference in this community because I know I work with community members who are are going out of their minds because they cannot afford to stay in the community they grew up in. And every single day they're being faced with an eviction notice. They're being faced with displacement, the potential possibility of displacement because one day they're paying $2,000 for an apartment, the next month a corporate landlord could come in and say, your rent is going up 2,500. So that's like from 2,000 to 2,500 in 1 month, for 25% increase. And many of these families are not getting 25% increase at work. So therefore they cannot afford to keep up, and many of them have been displaced. Many of the community members who used to live in Manhattan in the Boston area are now living far away, like 20, 30, even an hour away from Boston. And they're still working in Boston. So that's why the work that you're doing is definitely showing great leadership in the community. I just want to say, finally, you know, I had one last question because I know we're running out of time. But I mean, what were you thinking about when you saw that video? Because I know when I saw that video, I was like, oh my gosh, so proud of everything. I mean, were you thinking, my gosh, all the hard work that I put in, the sacrifices, that's why one of my questions, what are some of the personal sacrifices have you had to make in order for you to do the work that you do today?
um, you know, number one, a lot of time those projects, as you go into them, the time, many times you feel like that project not going to happen multiple times. You feel like, oh my God, all the effort, all the time, it's not going to waste. And also to make those happen, it takes focus, it takes time. Which take you away from your family, take you away from, from other personal stuff. It's almost like you become like, a selfish person because you want to make sure that project get, like, what I mean, because once you get in, every year go by, the city is changing, a lot of things changing. So if the project is not moving, then it's not a project anymore. So but I think one thing I've learned over the years, it take a team, it take great team, great people around you to make sure you make you, um, you make things happen.
Yeah.
What I mean? So I'll be remiss to take the credit just by myself, but I know it's a lot of people that have a shared vision, and also starting with our co-developers, because as a new organization, we don't have the capacity, not the balance sheet, because we're new, but we had to go out and interview some potential partners, and one of them is the Archdiocese. That's why I said the cardinal speaking there is the Archdiocese. It's finding people like-minded, with you that, that willing, that want to see your goal come true. It's all those people that paved the way to make this happen. So it is a teamwork, but also it takes significant amount of time. So some days you work from 5 a.m. to 10 from 5 a.m. to 10, 11 p.m. That's why we're required to make it happen. So
yeah. Well, that's why I would say you deserved Boston Business Magazine, a very prominent magazine here in Boston. Named you one of in 2020, that was a few years ago, 40 under 40. So literally in 2020, you were under 40 and you were already, you've been doing such great work at such a young age. I just want to say, the Morton Village we just saw earlier today has over 40 units, right? and 40 families being impacted. And I know it seems like your business model has been looking for vacant properties and converting them into homes for families. But I also know recently you were looking to purchase a building that's already there. And of course, I'm sure you were gonna do some renovation and to make it affordable for families. Felon Estate, do you want to talk a little bit about that? And some of your disappointment for
Mhm.
for what has happened so far?
Yeah.
We need more affordable homes for people in the community, and how different it is when a corporate landlord or a corporate investor comes in versus a CDC like yours, a nonprofit organization.
Yeah. Um, I would say our business model is to look for housing next to the transit, because we understand that not every person, especially like if you're in a fixed budget, you know try to own a car, pay insurance is not always the easiest thing. So that's why we're always looking at ways we can get housing next to transit so that people don't feel obligated to have a car. Hence why we were very interested into fair loan. So
Yeah.
our business model so far has been new new development, but also we're looking at where we can acquire existing projects as soon as they are as soon as all the new transit. Like I always said, you know, um, 20 people can 20 people can be doing the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it takes somebody from it, it takes somebody from that community to actually deliver for that community. Like what I mean. So I'm not saying it always have to be that way, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you need somebody that understand, you
Correct.
know, Mrs. Jane, Mr.
Yeah.
Joe issues that you can be an advocate. If you never leave that person's shoes, if you never listen to that person, it's hard for being an advocate. So I think
Yeah.
to us, that's why I always said, if we're not at the table, we're on the menu. So we
Yeah.
want to be at the table. That's why CIC is fighting for everywhere there's a housing conversation, especially when it comes to Marapen, that we at the table that we can deliver for the community. Because I think the community need. So if we don't save Marapen, Marapen will be gone. We'll be saying the same thing we said about South End, South Boston. You
Correct.
know, gentrification. It, gentrification is coming down all week one night.
Correct.
So if we don't work together, Marapen won't be the same Marapen that we enjoy today.
Yeah, that particular building or complex with 347 apartments in Mattapan. I know not too long ago, maybe a month ago, I did an interview with Fox 25, and two of the long-term residents there, Miss Annie and Miss Betty, they are being forced out because again, the high rent increase that they've been offered in order to stay, they cannot afford. They're on fixed income, and these families are really struggling already to pay the current rent. And they're being told by the current landlord that if you don't pay an additional $500, you're not gonna be able to stay here. And for Miss Annie, she's been there for over 40 years. So this woman in her 70s knows everything, like her neighborhood is her life.
Mhm.
And again, going back to the health determinants of housing. The second she's forced out of her community, she's no longer close to her church. The families that will stop by and take care and look after her if something were to happen, she'll lose all that community. And then all of a sudden, that's when folks do ended up getting sick and dying off very young, very quickly. So we don't want that to happen to her. I know I work with them and I've been fighting very hard. Unfortunately, you did not get that property this time around, but it doesn't, we never know. It can come back again, and when it does, hopefully you'll be in a position to be able to take that one out of the speculative market. Because it's a speculative market that's hurting families right now.
That's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for to build ourselves as an organization, to be able to take on those bigger projects, but also I will extend that to the community. I was talking about money,
Uh-huh.
I extend that to the community, like, folks in the community also, we have to looking at those things as our problem or as our vision on how we can work together to make sure those doesn't happen. So it shouldn't be somebody else from outside that buy that building. The community can come together,
Yeah.
investors,
And
people with.
I'm glad you mentioned that because TOPA, Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act,
Mhm.
been in the State House for how many years now? I know the reason why, because I remember we did a little action for Miss Annie and Betty, because Miss Annie right now is facing eviction, literally is in court right now. And we did an action for her, and TOPA, we've been talking about TOPA, Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act. Instead of letting big investors, corporate investors who are coming from outside of the community, right? They don't have they're not culturally competent, they don't know anything about the community. They're coming in to take properties out of the market, affordable market. They're turning them into speculative commodities. We've been saying TOPA, Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act, would have saved us because tenants or the community would have had the opportunity to first and foremost make an offer. What do you think about this? Why is it still not a law the bill hasn't passed? Why is that?
Actually, I testified for TOPA probably 2019 or 2020.
Yeah,
What I mean?
it's been that long.
Yeah, it's been that long. The reality is, I think, y- there's a lot of special interest that doesn't want it happen. And also the broker community. If that happened, a lot of big real estate brokerage firm probably won't make the fees anymore. I mean, so if the tenant purchases it directly to the landlord, that's a 3.5, 2.5, 5% fee that get stand to the building. So it's really like all the special interests. But again, as a community, when people want our vote, when elected officials want our vote, so what do we get for it? But because you probably need two-thirds, or I don't know if it's a simple majority. So you're gonna have to probably like reach out to other communities that's probably Western Mass, Central Mass, that also want to see it happen, because the state reps that's outside Boston, you know, if they don't have a reason to vote for something, they're not going to vote for it. So I think that always been the issue. And I know the chair of the housing, can't remember his name right now, is the Alston rep, and he's been fighting for it, but there's no appetite like to get enough vote to get it passed. So
We have several bills right now in the state house, that should be really an urgent situation for all of us who are concerned about housing. And you had mentioned housing is a human right, and I believe housing is a human right. Because at the end of the day, how can you perform well at work as a teacher, as a nurse, as especially the essential employees, those people when everybody was quarantine, staying at home, social distancing, they didn't have that privilege. They had to go to work. Maybe teachers stayed home, but those who work at the hospital, nurses aid, they had to go to work. And many of them are not making the type of salaries that is required. The person who's cleaning the hospital is not making six-figure income. So therefore, they need to have affordable home within the community. We have, I don't know if you have time, we wanted to talk briefly about not only homelessness in Boston, but also the reason that you're doing the work that you're doing, because we have unhoused and homeless situation in Boston. But recently, Boston, Massachusetts, like so many other large communities, cities have welcomed many migrants. They call them migrants, foreigners, but we call them new community members. What do you think about what needs to be done because we have a housing crisis already for existing members of the community, and now we have that going on. What do you think about it? And
yeah,
we should be our response.
well, one thing I would say, so there's a bond bill that's moving to the House right now. So I would say to the State House, I would say get involved, because and if that bill pass, you add some much needed housing. But again, because the cost to build one unit in uh, in the Commonwealth, it might not do that much because it's a lot of money, like a couple $1 billion that the governor is asking for the housing bond bill. But the reality, because it's too expensive to build anything, so but I would say get involved because there will be enough money out there to help out with like with some new housing units. When it come to the homelessness, yes, like because of the right of shelter in the state, a lot of it, the state had a shelter system for existing residents that gone to some issues, but now you added new community members coming in. Uh, uh, I do think personally we should those folks doesn't belong in shelter. Those folks belong in transitional housing where they can come in and get the resources they need to move on to the next step in their life. Because Gabrielle, I can speak for myself. I didn't leave Haiti, no matter what. I didn't leave Haiti to come here just to be dependent of the government. I come here, uh, um, I need to figure out and take the best opportunity I can get. So I think many families right now that's stuck in shelter, they're just looking for the best, but somebody to help them out. Like not a hand out, but a hand up that they can move to the next stage in their life. And then as you talk about, keep in mind also you have um, if you live in one city today, your kids go to public school. And then if you have to move 6 months from now, you disrupt that whole kids thing, so we got to find a better way that those folks can get to a living situation that help them with the ESL, get the work permit, get some work training, that they can start moving, get the permit or driving license, that they can start moving to a better situation.
Yeah, I just want to say for actually me play this en créole parce que me connais et nous te parler créole. This migrant issue is an issue that we as a country nous sommes en culture en country pour nous penser avec lui parce que at the end of the day en pile monde ça qui vini jodi en yo devant yo Boston, yo dans New York, yo Californie côté yo c'est parce que yo même tout yo ben displaced. Toute conversation ça nous gagne là, c'est une conversation about displacement. Côté moun nan kay yo, en plus yo pas arrêter parce que kay la vin trop cher. Et soit côté moun nan communauté, moun nan pas arrêter parce que gen social insecurity, political insecurity. Moun qui en Haïti, moun qui sont en Haïti, soit l'autre pays yo k'ap kouri, quitter pays yo parce que yo gen social problems and political problems. En pile là de yo pas jamais vle displacer, c'est ça que fait nous travail dans housing parce que tout le monde nous parle avec, right, Donald? They don't want to be displaced. They want to stay in their communities. They want to be fine. Just like many of those who are coming here from overseas or from another country, they don't want to be displaced, but they're being forced out of their communities. They're being forced, and many of it is because of political and policies from our own country here. So we want to tell you that, America son pays immigrant lié, tout le monde là c'est immigrant. Moi-même vinn là et l'aime de gen teenager, gen moun tout qui vini, parents te vini, grands-parents vini. Tout c'est un pays immigrant. Moi-même son chrétien, moi-même toujours penser avec comment pour noter que monde qui immigrant dans zone nous. Et Leviticus 19 dit comme ça, you must treat the foreigner living among you as a native born. Can you imagine the foreigner living among you as a native born and love him as yourself? For you were foreigners in the land of Egypt. For a lot of people who understand that. For Israelites, you te foreigner in Egypt too. Le ou kite Egypt, yal lan Canaan, yo même tu yo devin gen foreigner ke vin la kayo, puis tu yap traité yo mal. We all been there. We all need help. So I would encourage you all to think about how we all can help. The housing crisis, again, Donald, you're doing such a great job. You're making a difference You're making a difference. And the reason why we do the work that we do is because we know nobody wants to move out of their communities, right?
Of
Nobody
course,
wants
of
to be
course.
displaced. Nobody wants to deal with gentrification. When one day the community looks like them, the next day it looks like somebody else. Nobody wants to deal with that. So therefore, we have collectively, we have to do the work. And you are doing your part. You are making a difference. And you are making a difference with people who want to make a difference. And I believe it's at a time that makes a difference. So I would like to say thank you so much. Before we say goodbye, we've been here for a while. What are some of your, quickly goals for, the organization, and also in terms of like, how can someone who's watching, who said, you know what, I'm really concerned about the housing crisis and also the displacement issue, and I would like to be part of the solution and be part of the many people who are making a difference. What would you like to say to them?
That's a very loaded question. First and foremost, let me just say thank you for having me, and I hope that's not my last time I'm invited. Again, great show. I wish you all the success,
Thank you.
and because we need to have those conversations in our community, because if we don't have in them, so we don't know what others doing. So,
Correct.
um, so, but in terms of your question, I think Caribbean integration, community development. So we just a young organization, even though we've been there for over a decade. So we're still a young organization. So we're looking at ways to be better. So we always want to know and hear what how people think, how people feel about the crisis we have. You know what I mean? So like anybody that can share their idea, want to talk. I'm more than open to listen. And also was looking for donation, for funders, for investors, uh, um, all the nine yard. Anybody that wanna you know part of Caribbean integration, community development, they can go on our website. They can want to talk, and then we can um
Yeah, a website. This was
you
one
know
fundraiser you had, right?
yeah, so we had a fundraising, and fundraising is around our culture. We call it rum and rhythm. So because we know the Caribbean, one thing we all produce is rum.
Yeah.
um so yeah, I would say, this is the time for us to engage. Housing might not be your priority or your thing, because if you're a homeowner, you don't know what somebody that's homeless live into. But be involved. Be in, be behind the issues. You know what I mean? So we all know the issues that critical for our community. Get involved in those. Be behind them. Be a supporter. And let's build a stronger, better community as we all pulling one another up. So
Yeah, definitely. And the truth of the matter is, whether you're a homeowner or a renter, you do have to get involved, because the organizations that are out here in Boston who are making a difference, they want to hear from you. Because guess what? They came for the renters. You didn't say anything. The next person they're gonna come after is you. Because if rent for one bedroom in Mattapan can go as high as $2,300, guess what's gonna happen to your tax bill and your insurance bill and all other bills that you have? And then eventually, I mean, the property, we talked about a large percentage of homeowners, Black and brown homeowners in Mattapan, but right now, a single family is over $500,000.
yep, yep. So you
Again,
literally price out new buyers. You know what I mean? So we
yeah,
have to be able to to looking at holistically. It's
yeah,
funny because I was just having a conversation with Junior Brissett early on, and he was like, and we're talking. I say, how can we help each other? You know what I mean? So Renee's doing a great thing. How can I help Renee? Somebody else doing something. We need to get behind people that doing things, and obviously ask questions, familiarize yourself with what they're doing first, but also get behind it, because our strength is on the numbers. And right now we have that. Right now we have the numbers, but we're not using it. So
yeah. And just like that, I want to say, we know we have a mutual contact, Miss Jenny. I know Miss Jenny used to come to you all the time. Miss Jenny saying, Donald, we need senior homes. We need senior homes because she's an older woman and she's wind burdened. And she's been looking for senior homes. And yes, we didn't get it. You doing so many projects. We didn't have a chance to talk about everything, but the project that you have coming up, it's gonna be solely for seniors, right?
Yes,
65 and older?
yeah, we're starting next week.
Okay.
Next week we start in 150 River Street. Will be 30 unit senior housing,
Yeah.
100% affordable.
Yeah.
We're here in Mattapan. Yes.
Yes.
We listen to the community. Whatever they want, we try our best.
I know Miss Jenny is like, Donald, we need senior housing. So that's great because I know that demographic is very important to me too. Single moms, seniors, those who are married, everybody is important to me. And the fact that you are making a difference and changing their lives is really bringing a lot of joy in my life. And I know that if you are watching and you like to be part of the solution, be one of those people who are making a difference, you need to get to know what's happening in your community. Don't sit in the sideline and saying like, well, I see things changing around me, but I don't know how to do it. Well, you can reach out to us. We'll get you plugged in the community. And also too, if you have means, if you are financially able, I wanted to show your website. On the very first page, it says donate, right?
Yeah.
The nonprofit organization right here. It says donate. You can donate to this nonprofit organization. It's tax deductible 501c3, I believe, right? 501c3 tax deductible contribution. Donate because whatever you do, whatever you can do will make an impact, will make a difference. Because housing is a human right. And housing is the social determinants of health and the social determinants of everything. Our communities can become much healthier if we have affordable and habitable homes. Because when people are happy at home, they kind of trickled over to the neighborhood, and they can be great neighbors because they're like, oh, I don't want to leave because I love where I live. I don't want to live. And also too, we believe in community organizing and also doing community activities. So many families are really happy with the work that's being done by Donald and also the work that's being done with other community organizations as a whole. Get involved. If you are a newcomer or a new community member, definitely get involved with what's happening. You don't have to speak perfect English because you know what? We believe in language justice. Every single meeting or every single activities that you'll go to, guess what? All the activities, they always have interpretation. I know for the holidays, Christmas, I went to many different events and they always had interpretation to make sure that you felt welcome and you're part of the community. So Donald, again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. This is a long show, but we're gonna do what we need to do to make it shorter. But thank you so much for everything that you're doing. And I always believe in the prayer of Jabez. May God bless you and enlarge your territory, and you continue to do the work that you're doing to impact lives and change community. Yeah, impacting community matters. Affordable housing matters. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the time, and everybody that's watching. Again, I want to say thank you for your time, and we're on our way up. So everyone.